From now on, nothing is impossible. Now get out there and fail.
What the hell is that?
I have been hearing this since the start of my channel. The next Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead but with aliens. Left 4 Dead but with rats. Left 4 Dead but with aliens. Left 4 Dead but with prisoners. Left 4 Dead but with dinosaurs. Left 4 Dead but a decent movie tie-in. Left 4 Dead but from the creators of Left 4 Dead. And every single time, all I can ever say in response is,
We're just gonna have to wait and see.
anytime a whiff of Left 4 Dead is even smelled, we go chomping at the back for blood bit like a swarm of starving piranhas. And for good reason, we've been wanting a similar experience for over 15 years now. Of course, you can just go play Left 4 Dead 2 since it usually goes on sale for $2 on Steam every once in a while. But last month, news picked up on Mike Booth, the lead developer behind Left 4 Dead and the main brain behind its AI director system, teaming up with J.J. Abrams' foray into gaming with Bad Robot Games. It sounds like a good pairing on paper, especially with Sony backing this for a PC and PlayStation release. With no title or any other information, the main takeaway was Left 4 Dead being included in the headlines. At this point, whenever Left 4 Dead gets mentioned, especially with a former Left 4 Dead developer being involved to bring back the foundation of the Left 4 Dead formula in a new and inventive way, I just have to sigh and say,
Played these games before! I said I played these games before!
because many have come out saying the same thing and have either mostly faded from memory to be relegated to what happened to videos on YouTube or just completely died out. Well, at the 2025 Game Awards that I didn't end up watching because I was watching Home Alone 2, the trailer for this rumored game came out to some middling responses. Titled For Loop, all I could really do looking at all that pink and purple, main characters, narration, and gameplay, well, all I could feel like was Ryan Gosling. Largely what I mean by that is I didn't feel one way or another. I was just kind of staring blankly. It doesn't look bad by any means. It seems serviceable, but nothing really stands out to me from what was showcased. From the lore, the concept, the enemies, the dialogue, and what will be the hook of the franchise respawning over and over again to eventually win in your own unique way. I hate to try and sound younger than I am, but the game just looks incredibly mid from what they showed and how they showed it. Opinions in the comment sections were either, this idea I've seen before, but it looks great, more friend slop. This would have banged if it released 15 years ago. What is up with that narration? Oh boy, a new co-op game. Helldivers much? And probably the most prevalent type of comment I would see coming up is comparing this to the astronomical failure of Concord. It's looking like it's going to be a live service game, and it's really rubbing people the wrong way, especially with Sony of all companies aiding its release. That or people comparing it to the spiritual successor failures of before, like Evolve and Back 4 Blood and more. Honestly, just from my first impressions, it feels like Deathloop meets Earthfall meets Helldivers with roguelike elements and dialogue that sounds straight out of those Outer Worlds 2 trailers, but not sticking the landing.
And there should be lens flares.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This bloke's gone insane.
All wrapped up in a thin veil that largely just looks and even feels like Redfall, with plot elements people are comparing it to like Edge of Tomorrow's Alien Invasion, Mickey 17's Human Reprinting, and Dr. Stone turning the human population into Rock's plotline. It's easy to just give opinions and slap a "it's giving blank" vibes, but that is how it feels. It's a mishmash of familiar things. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but from what was present here, I don't know. The environment looks like something just generic out of the Unreal Engine. Bland, dark landscapes, also lens flares and overuse of lighting can give the mystique of better visuals, not standing out from, say, how Back 4 Blood's maps looked on release, especially with all that fog. The people crystallized into purple rocks all around the map is neat and kinda gives some variety to the map, but also reminds me of the scorched fossils strung around the map in Fallout 76. Yet in that game, it served some gameplay purpose as some pretend to be dead to get the drop on you. Here, it looks like it's just going to be a creepy motif. This is, however, yet another game with a skill tree. tree. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I like skill trees. This is more than likely going to be one of those where you get very small increments towards base kit mechanic, like 5% faster reload or 3% faster revive speed. I want to be wrong on this. Maybe we'll have some variety in some jetpacks or have some otherworldly powers and technology since aliens are involved. That shop icon that you can see up there doesn't leave me with much enthusiasm though. What it looks like it's going to be is going to be like more health, better damage, better sell prices, more awareness, more damage, and more power for something like jetpacks and stuff. It's most likely each time you die, your character goes up to a screen in your hub and accesses the skill tree by spending flux you earn in missions or on death. But nothing that really stands out amongst other co-op shooters that do the exact same thing, especially for something that's actually being showcased. What was showcased were the threat of the aliens that come down. I did see a healthy blend of different designs that you're going to be shooting at, but nothing that stood out to make me go, oh shit. We got some floating squids, lens shock robots, and whatever that Rubik's Cube Borg looking thing is, and it just feels like that's going to be a Destiny raid boss bullet sponge, creating this laser grid effect across the map that honestly, it's just visual vomit with all the other stuff going on. The story seems like they're going for this premise. We built a machine that summons the aliens and trapped the humans, like a Doom Portal to Hell or the Combine multiverse in Half-Life. And now that the aliens are here, we have to eternally fix our fuck up. But it's a live service game, so that fixing is never going to be really happening. The most important thing beyond enemies, maps, and engines is who you are playing as, since they are going to be talking, interacting, and what you'll be seeing the most when playing with friends. The four main characters they presented look incredibly bland and forgetful. No real variety in their appearance, just different heads of attractive people dressed in Titan gear. And coming off the heels of tons of news sources bringing up Left 4 Dead, that is a monumental difference in terms of fleshed out and fun characters. But Mike Booth is just one developer, and he's not pulling that whole Turtle Rock thing where he's saying, hey, this is from the developers of Left 4 Dead, this is the next Left 4 Dead, so don't worry there. The main takeaways from this first Outlook trailer are both the respawn mechanic and the god-awful narration. The idea of an in-game mechanic explaining how your character continually comes back to life, well, it ain't new, and the way it's presented here feels like it's touting it as something new and unique, that coming back to life over and over is miraculous and feeds into the gameplay loop. Get what I did there for loop? Sure, some games have done it before. Borderlands has even poked fun at it.
I will pay you to kill yourself. But if you want a huge reward, you jump off that cliff and become my bitch.
How the respawn gimmick works in conjunction with the skill tree and the aliens and what you're going to be doing, we'll just have to wait and see. My money is going to be on them having their hub of their machine station and coming back there when you complete or fail a mission as a team, working kind of like a Back 4 Blood Fort Hope Center. Honestly, I hope you don't come back to this machine every time you die, because accessing your skill tree and trying to do it from there just seems annoying. Earlier, I mentioned the lack of interesting design to the characters. We did not get to see their personality behind all that attractive bait whatsoever. So, in lieu of having them interact for us to see, we get some British bloke being quirky and talking directly to us, the gamers, while stuff is going on screen.
This plan sounds impossible, and we're probably going to die. But that's where you're wrong. You're definitely going to die.
This guy sounds like Ricky Gervais trying to be Wheatley from Portal 2. It genuinely does not fit the vibe in which this game is visualizing and showing in action. Yeah, some of the words are, what's going on, but the vibe is not there. Can we trust that the dialogue won't be anything similar, or that this narrator won't be some built-in voice in the suit or some kind of Destiny ghost talking in place of these blank slate characters that probably won't say anything except grunt and groan and have some commands, and then this robot guy just saying some quirky, funny Marvel haha dialogue? Can we trust it won't be that way, please?
Trust me. The voice in my head hasn't been wrong yet.
Now, it does give me some hope that Mike Booth is at the helm, since he was a major force behind the dynamic director mechanic of Left 4 Dead. What gave Left 4 Dead such incredible replayability in its spawn system, and how it worked with how you were going through the map and how you were dealing with it. Maybe some of that core system can reflect well in an extraction shooter live service environment. Maybe a similar AI director system will be prevalent for these types of enemies. That would be really cool. Mike Booth did take some questions in a quick interview with Sony on the upcoming 4-person co-op shooter, sounding like he is bringing to the table ideas he wanted in Left 4 Dead originally with much enthusiasm. When I was building Left 4 Dead, the big risk at the time was whether random folks on the internet would actually cooperate to the degree we wanted them to. Rescue each other from hunters and smokers, help down survivors, save players dangling from ledges, and so on and so forth. Many of these game mechanics have now become well known and expected, which allows us to push the boundaries in 4-loop even farther. For example, where the environments in Left 4 Dead were essentially linear paths to help shepherd the players together, the environments in 4-loop are wide open. It's up to the players to improvise and manage their own risk-reward as events unfold in the game. Plus, you can actually pick up and carry a downed friend in 4-loop, which is something I always wanted to have in Left 4 Dead. So it's going to be more open world-like in the approach, with more to Left 4 Dead style features, focusing on teamwork that was a core tenet of Left 4 Dead. It seems like there is a lot of ideas that Mike is bringing to the table that he wanted for the game that he originally did. He would go on to say that the game relies on a roguelike environment where you can use anything and any combo to your advantage to improv a playstyle each time you jump into the game. I then got a sigh of relief when I heard him say this: I don't want to wrangle stats, build a deck, or visit a bunch of vendors when I start a game session with my friends. I just want to jump in and play. So keeping to that Left 4 Dead jump in arcade style, albeit with perks you're going to have to manage between rounds. So while I appreciate the sentiment, you're still going to have to wrangle around something instead of just directly jumping in. One interesting bit was when he brought up how playtesters are experimenting with their mechanics, where he described it as one player used what was called a blink berry from a blink root that teleports anyone within its blast radius like a grenade, seeing it used to teleport giant bosses that were chasing them far away so the team can escape, or teleport oneself to escape. You can use the grenade on anyone. Seems like it will be like Left 4 Dead in acquiring goodies in the map to combat the hordes. You just have more variety. This kind of stuff I can get wholeheartedly behind. Mike's best statement by far, though, is when he closed one of his questions out with this simple statement: I'm excited to see how our gaming community breaks the game in other unexpected ways. Meaning there is a lot to what you can do, a variety of methods to die, survive, save others, and fight, and that he wants people to get to doing broken things with it, not like Turtle Rock when they nerfed all the super fun broken stuff soon after Back 4 Blood launched. A vote of confidence going forward. Honestly, with what the interview was saying, I feel like what Mike Booth was saying should have been a center focus for the first trailer of 4-loop. Probably would have had people receiving this a lot better. First impressions are important, but in today's gaming landscape, you can monumentally screw up like Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky and still recover if you put in enough work. This wasn't anything anywhere near that, but it does leave a lot left to be desired from what they did show. So as I stated with Back 4 Blood when it was first announced up to release, when news and information slowly trickles out, just don't get too hyped up and wait for more information, footage, gameplay to come out so you can build your opinion better. If you put expectations into this being the next Left 4 Dead, all I can see is that it will
Fail?
But as a game itself, it may have some promise. I wish we would have got more that was described by Mike that was not shown in the game. If anything, just no more of that narration and beef up those characters' personalities and show more diverse gameplay next time to really get us hooked. But I'm just not gonna hold out hope.
Well, I will admit it was mildly amusing the first dozen times you idiots tried it, so quit it!